Well, welcome back to Andersen Acres. You'll notice I have a bunch of feathers for you here. I just wanted to talk a little bit today about another way you can make money off of your chickens. I'm going to apologize in advance. There's a rabbit in the room and she's sometimes banging on things. She thinks it's funny. There she goes. That's Gemini. She makes a lot of noise. She thinks it's fun. Anyway, we've been talking about different ways to make money from your chickens to try to recoup some of the costs. It's unreasonable most of the time to think you're going to recoup all of your costs because most of us spend more on our chickens than we really should. I bought mine a playhouse. Why? Because I could. So this just helps offset some of the cost. These are my feathers. I sell my feathers and I make a pretty decent amount doing that. If you have birds with attractive feathers, you might be able to collect some feathers and sell them. Crafters and fly fishers will be your primary market, but often others are interested in your feathers as well if you have really pretty ones. Thank you, Gemini. I sell a lot of these ones where they have the black and whites. Those ones I sell quite a bit of. I sell my more buff colored ones like these. These sell pretty well. And I do sell my white ones. I've got two packages here that are actually ready to go out because they've been purchased. This is a black and white set, and the other one's a mostly white set. Excuse me. So usually these will come from roosters because roosters do have the prettier feathers. Though I do have, these are a lot of hen feathers, especially from my silkies. These make good flies for people who make flies for fly fishing. So these smaller ones go for that a lot. So it's entirely possible to make a little bit of money with them. You want to collect the saddle, hackle, and tail feathers of your prettiest birds, especially the roosters. These bigger feathers I sell for a decent clip for a group, considering they're basically free for me because they just fall off my roosters anyway. You want to make sure your feathers are clean. Then you want to put them in the freezer for a couple of weeks. This will help kill any mites or other bugs that might be on the feathers. Then you want to shake them out, make sure they're pretty, wash them, dry them, and package them in nice bags or boxes. You can sell them at craft sales. You can sell them online. I have an Etsy shop that I sell mine at, which I'm almost out of stock right now because most of these are sold. I have to package these ones up. Those ones are packaged for shipping later today. It's a decent amount. I mean, is it going to fully cover the cost of your birds? Probably not, but it does help when I combine it with my selling of my eating eggs and my selling of my hatching eggs and selling of my live chicks. I do not too bad. Now, if you butcher your own birds, you have another option here as well. You can preserve the cape of your rooster. The cape is just the dried skin of the neck, back, and sides of the birds. If the feathers are left on and the feathers are quite pretty, capes that can sell for a decent price if they're intact. So if you have the intact cape or the saddle with the skin and everything, that can sell for a decent price. I don't sell those because I don't butcher my birds, but you absolutely can. So to preserve the cape, first you want to remove it from the body in one piece. So you take it off the bird in one piece. Obviously the bird is deceased at this point. Either they died from natural causes or they have been processed. So you'll have the skin and the cape. So you want to make sure it's intact. So once you have the cape removed from the bird in one piece, you want to tack it onto a hard surface, skin side up, and scrape all the fat and meat you can from the skin. Yeah, it's a little bit of a gross process, but you have to do it or you can't sell the cape. Then you want to liberally sprinkle the skin with borax and let it sit for a couple of weeks. After a couple of days, check the skin. If there are moist areas, you want to scrape again and apply more borax. When the skin is completely dry, you can sell it, but you have to wait till it's completely dry. It could take a month or more. So this is a bit of a process. I find it much easier just to sell these, right? Because these go for a pretty good clip. But you can absolutely do the capes. When the cape is dry, you can put it in a large plastic bag. You don't want to fold the actual cape if you don't have to. It might crack because remember at this point it's dry, and if you crack it, it's really not worth anything anymore. So you want to put more borax in the bag to keep the cape dry, and add some whole cloves to keep it from smelling decent. It's not going to smell good. People who buy capes, they know that it's not going to smell good. Okay, they do know that, so they're not going to be surprised that it doesn't smell great. But use the cloves to kind of just keep it from smelling really awful. Remember, it is they're feathers on skin, dead skin. So it's not going to smell fantastic, but people who want them know that. The capes can be sold to a lot of people, especially fly fishers. They like to make lures from the feathers, and sometimes they just like I sell mine like this, and I've got fly fishers that buy these all the time. I have a regular guy that comes to my farm every 6 weeks or so to collect a bunch of feathers. I know what he's looking for. These aren't for him. I've got a bunch in another box that are just for him because I know what he's looking for by now. He's been here often enough. He'll sort through those and select what he wants. Fly fishers often like to buy intact capes though because it gives them a little bit more selection, and then they get all those the tiny little, I don't know if I have any of them in here, but the tiny little feathers that are right next to the skin. Sometimes they want that. Right? The tiny, not that one. I don't think I have any in this box. No, they're all in the other box. But fly fishers will probably be your biggest clients if you're selling the cape. Most crafters are going to want to buy them already like this, cleaned and processed and not on the skin. Okay? But fly fishers might be interested in the cape or the saddle. The saddle area of the rooster is back towards the hips with where the tail is, and that can sell for pretty good price. I know around here that they go for double what the capes go for. They're harder to process and keep intact because the feathers become pretty brittle. It's not that easy to preserve the saddle. But if you can, and you can do it successfully, there is a good market for the saddle. Again, it's just still on the skin. I don't do that. But I know a couple of people around here who do, and they make a pretty good clip doing that. Anyway, so that's about all there is to know in the immediate future about selling feathers for a little bit of a profit. If you're going to do this, you might want to, when you're at sales and auctions, you might want to look for the roosters with the prettiest plumage. You will be primarily selling feathers from roosters. Yeah, you might have a hen feather in here once in a while, like I think this one is from Feely. So you can sell a few hen feathers, but primarily you're going to be selling rooster feathers. That's just the way it is. So collect your feathers, clean them up, process them, and see if you can't sell them either locally or online. But that's about all for us here from Andersen Acres. I hope you join us tomorrow. I'm not sure what we're talking about tomorrow. I haven't quite decided. I guess it depends what's happening on the farm. But we hope to see you then.